Multi-award-winning musician Zahara has passed away. The Loliwe hitmaker reportedly died at a private Johannesburg hospital on Monday night. She was admitted in hospital with liver complications 2 weeks ago. We're now joined by a former colleague, Bheki Mlambo. A very good evening to you.
Yeah, good evening. How are you?
I'm very well, sir. Of course, we pass our condolences, but just as reaction, of course, as we're getting to hear that the singer has indeed passed away. Talk to us about, your words this evening as you get the news.
Yes, it's quite saddening, and we are not okay. As the colleagues, as the music industry of South Africa and the Africa as a whole. It's been a very short journey that we were with her, but it was totally amazing. Shooting Zahara as I Rise was one of the phenomenal experiences that we had, together, and we built so much memories, and we worked tirelessly in making it happen, and it was quite a big success. So today it's very much sad ukuthi ushile ngalendlela ashiye ngayo, and akukho singakwenza, amanzi uma esechithekile ngeke sikwazi ukuphinde siwabuthi.
Bheki, were you aware of, Zahara's health challenges? Because we are getting some reports now that she had been in hospital for some time. Is there anything you can tell us with regards to what indeed had been happening?
It was quite in a very last stage where I got to know about the condition that she was living in terms of her health. It was probably a few months ago, of which it was very much difficult even for us from my team to really work on something regarding that. It was a very, very short space of time between us as it's taking her life now.
We understand that she was, during the last days, with her siblings, her sisters, I believe. So obviously the message would have gotten to the family quite early on. What do you know about her relationship with her family, with her sisters, especially towards, towards the end?
Man, it was amazing. Even the time we were preparing to shoot Zahara as I Rise, I'll get to the house, Abu Bandezwa, they are there, Abu Junior, they are there, so he made them flew all the way from the Eastern Cape to come to Joburg. They're in a home, so where we all usually meet, and it was quite a very, very warm family, and they had a very relationship with the siblings, with the mom, everyone at home, and we'll make calls at home and just to check on them and, preparing for the shoots and all the work, and also just to find out how they're doing. So it's really, really saddening what is happening now for the family.
And as a former colleague, what are your words, just as we end off our conversation here, what are your words to her family, of course, at the sad time?
It's not easy to lose someone in the family. In this case, Zahara is umuntu wabantu and umuntu wesizwe. I would like to say to the family, mabaqine, uNkulunkulu khona ngaso sonke isikhathi, and everything inesikhathi sayo, and it's not easy to accept. But konke mabakubhekise enkosini, that all what I can share right now. I know no words can make them feel better right now, but in due time, uNkulunkulu uzoba nabo abaqinisa ngaso sonke isikhathi.
All right, Bheki, many thanks to you and condolences to you and those who knew her closely. Bheki Mlambo was a former colleague of musician Zahara. Of course, the news coming in just now that she has indeed passed away.
Meanwhile, the African Transformation Movement has expressed its deepest sorrow at the news of the passing of Bulelwa Zahara Mkutukana. The party says her musical influence is unparalleled. Joining us now is the party's National Communications Manager, Loliwe Mkutukana, who joins us via our telephone line. Loliwe, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Really sad news coming out this evening on the passing of Zahara.
It is really quite sad, and we are all up mourning the loss of Zahara, and we pass our deepest condolences to our family. And it is quite unfortunate that this happened at her peak and the peak of her career. It is really, really unfortunate that we are sitting with this unfortunate news at this point in time of this hour.
What does it mean when we see a young person who had so much to live for, especially who had so much of influence in the music industry, passing away?
We're not just speaking of a person or a young person here. We're speaking of an icon that took the music and the hearts of South Africans from the streets, the dusty streets of Eastern Cape, all the way to the world, taking the baton over from Umamo Miriam Makeba and all of the other legends that lived, this world and actually showed our stories, because it is only through music that young people can learn how to love. We believe that that is the philosophy that we go by. But most importantly, the arts are a way to actually convey a certain message. And Zahara made sure that she actually conveyed a certain message, and she carried her culture, our culture, all of our culture. She carried our representation, and she stood for who we are as a people. And it is not just the passing of any person, it is a passing of a monument, it is the passing of a great figure in the trajectory of music, in the trajectory of arts as South Africa. So we stand here as the African Transformation Movement, unfortunately, untimely so, passing out condolences to the family of Zahara. And we wish that she would have recovered from hospital. But as we stand here, we hope that the family finds closure and because we are unfortunately faced with the situation.
Mkutukana, you are indeed describing her as an icon, and many South Africans would agree with you. And of course, as we remember the life and times of Zahara, how do you think South Africans should remember the life that was?
As a person who got to perhaps maybe share the stage with her, it was there at the 2012, if I'm not mistaken, UFS Plainside performances. I remember we were singing Everything May Be Rushing on Me, Everything May Be Too Slow on Me, but I know I will keep holding it down because I know where I'm going. That is a person who had a vision, and when she imparted that message, the message of that specific song to us as the people that were singing back up for her, she actually emphasized on, this is who I am and this is where I'm going. And we understood her vision. And I'm standing here today, communications director of a party, a national party in parliament, and I can say that I still understand the vision that she imparted onto us, understanding that she had places to go. Many things obviously do happen as you go on the journey of life, but you need to understand and you need to know that you need to be anchored somewhere. And that is a person who was anchored somewhere, who understood exactly where she was going. So we are deeply, deeply, deeply saddened, and we wish to still emphasize that as the African Transformation Movement, the most important element of governance is that we need to ensure that the arts sector or the arts industry is also regulated, to ensure that our artists are also not exploited. There are legislative reforms that are actually going to speak to their needs. There are legislative reforms that are going to specifically protect them from exploitation of any kind, because we've seen so many sad stories that could perhaps maybe be a contributing factor to some of the things and some of the events, So we need to be able, as the state, as the governing parties, as the governing members of political parties, to find a way to actually find, to build legislation that actually protects our artists, because we are unfortunately in this situation because that specific space is not regulated.
And Mxolisi, it sounds as if you had a very personal relationship with Zahara. If perhaps maybe you can just take us through, how you guys met back in the day, as you are just informing us of that very close knit relationship in which you shared through music.
As I do say, it was purely just me singing back up as a young person in university. But obviously we do grow up and we do get to be close. But the most important, as I do say, aspect of what she stood for is her actually knowing what her goal and what she wanted to achieve was. And we all ought to understand and support what she actually stood for, as specifically a young female in South Africa, but most specifically as a person who came from the rural areas and managed to actually go to the center stage of the world. So we need to be able to know that, number one, you can be whatever that you set your eyes on, but we also need to support each other much that we actually break the glass ceiling that actually holds us back. That is exactly what Zahara stood for, and that is what we all need to embody at this point in stage.
Mxolisi, thank you so much for your time this evening. That is Loliwe Mkutukana. He is the ATM's National Communications Manager. They're just giving us a bit of insight in terms of his relationship with Zahara and what this death essentially means, especially for the art industry in South Africa.